Hello, and welcome back to another video. I am currently here on Desolo, as I have finally emerged from the metaverse in all my glory, and with legs. I definitely have legs, they're just cropped out, I swear. Anyway, in the last video, we got a gastropod from Desolo, and we need to return to Silva so we can scan it. So that's what we're going to do right now. Now, there are a lot of colors and a lot of buttons on my screen, so I might have gotten a little distracted when trying to return to my base. Wait, this isn't my home? Gobble, gobble, gobble. So, I just took a gyropod and I decided to just head home. And I had a very normal and safe trip with no problems at all. This thing is just so bad. Gobble, gobble, gobble. And that was the last of my vehicle troubles. For now, I went ahead and scanned my gastropod, and then I just went back to Desolo. After returning back to Desolo, I made a gracious trip over to the gateways so I could reactivate them, and had no troubles at all. Once I arrived at the gateway, I used all my intellect to connect the wires and turn the generator on, but I struggled to do so for like 3 minutes, and I'm not showing you it. While I was headed over to the next one, I found an interesting little light on my way, so I decided to stop by and see what it was. Whenever I made it there, I saw that there was a crate, and that's where the light was emitting from. So, I tried to use tethers, forgetting that my vehicle did not have oxygen on it, and then I spotted dynamite. And with little hesitation, my monkey brain decided to activate the dynamite with no regard of what may or may not happen. Luckily, this is what I was supposed to do, and I actually got a few exo chips out of it. And then I was back on the road, and I'm just going to let you see this, but it's honestly really impressive what I managed to pull off here. Whenever I made it to the gateway, I did not struggle nearly as much to connect the wire or to turn on the generator. So, I got it done, and then I headed back home. On my way back, I marvelously scaled a 90-degree vertical angle here, and then proceeded to get stuck on a slight bump. I also found this mat thing here, but I didn't know what it was, so obviously I ignored it and just went back home, because if anything that I don't know what it does, obviously it isn't good. Alright, it's new, it's different, I don't like it. After I got what I needed for the mat, I was on my way back and I switched over to the buggy to see if this would help. It turns out that the buggy is not much better than the tractor is. Once I turned the materials into the mat, it gave me a bunch of quests that I could not do there, and I couldn't even see what they were there, and I had to go all the way back to my base just to see what I had to do. Once I made it back to the base, I checked what the quests were, and they aren't really that hard. They were just turn in certain materials to the mat to do something and discover a thing that, Astroneer lore. But the problem is that some of the materials could only be obtained on Silva. So, I'd have to go back to Silva, which if I'm going to use a thruster to go to Silva, I might as well check out the unidentified satellite that the quests are telling me to do anyway. And all you have to do to activate the satellite is activate the core of Desolo. So I decided that I'm going to activate the core of Desolo. And it should take less time to dig in, because it has a smaller radius, meaning that it'll just be quicker to get to the core anyway, so it won't even be as much work as the one on Silva. Once I got to the core, all I had to do was find out the material that I had to do to activate it, and then I could be on my way to checking out the satellite. But there was only one problem with this, and it was that I couldn't figure out what the resource I needed was to activate the core of Desolo, and I struggled for quite a bit. Huh. What is it? I don't think it's not clay. I eventually found out that it was zinc. So after I went up, got some sapphirite, and then turned it into zinc, I went back to the core, and then activated it. I got an extra one, just in case, and then I got another extra one, just in case I lose my extra one. As I do always, because I have found out that you can never be too careful when doing anything. So I took off and went back to Silva. The first goal here was to get the resources that I needed for my mat, and the second thing was to get a few extra thrusters so I could go to that satellite and then come back. And what you're seeing here is actually me just being super fast at getting all the resources, and definitely not me just cutting out all of that because I didn't want to edit any of it. Once I was back in orbit, I immediately spotted the satellite and went over to it. Now the first thing that I notice here about the satellite is its color. It's the exact same color as the cores of the planets. So they obviously have to be connected, and I'm assuming that's why the cores will activate this. Once I landed, I didn't spend too long looking around, and I found what I was eventually supposed to be going over to. It was 7 sets of diamonds that each had a thing that you could place on them. I found out that if you place one of the core pieces that you get for turning in one of the resources that it requires you to activate, it will activate one of these rings here. And if you have multiple rings open, you can actually teleport between the planets. I didn't do that here because I was afraid that I would lose my ship or I wouldn't be able to get back here by teleporting. I just took off from my ship and went back to the moon, which, once I was back at the moon, I could continue on my mat thing. But I did see some aurora lights over in the distance, so I ran over to them and took a quick little detour before continuing on my mission. After I viewed the aurora lights for a little bit, I got on my tractor and decided to head over. I thought that since the buggy did so bad, maybe the tractor would do better, but it turns out that the tractor is still just as awful, if not worse, as the buggy. So I honestly don't know what vehicle to use here. Everything I try to use is just bad. And don't ask why I switched back to the buggy. I kinda crashed in the tractor, and, well, yeah. Once I made it to the mat, I could now activate it because I had turned in all of the resources. It decided to explode, but I didn't know what it was doing, so I just stood there and watched it. Luckily, it doesn't kill you, because otherwise I would have had to walk all the way back. I went back home, looked at the quest that it gave me, and I didn't have to do anything else. It just gave me rewards. I got a QTRTG and I got a hoverboard. The hoverboard is actually pretty good, but it took me a while to learn how to use it because I tried to like open it when it was in the box, but you can only use it whenever it's in your backpack. So I was really confused on why it wouldn't let me open it. But it's actually pretty quick. I still get stuck on every single thing I run into on this planet, no matter what. And it has no power draw. That's one of the good things I like about it, but the only thing I don't like about it is the fact that you drain oxygen. It doesn't have oxygen attached to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed these Devious Deeds on Desolo, and next time I will be crusading Calidor. That's about all I have to say. You know, this took a lot longer. I had to edit this. Yeah.